seen on many forums and on a lot of YouTube videos people talking about their worst gig ever. And when I got to thinking about it, I realized probably my worst gig was my first gig. And it was in junior high. And I grew up in Indiana, basically. I mean, I went to a lot of different elementary schools in 3 different states. But ultimately, when I got to junior high and high school and college, it was all in Indianapolis. And so I was desperate in junior high, and I don't know how many of you were like this, but I was desperate to be one of the popular kids, and I was really bad at it. I just felt like, from the get-go, I just felt like I was an outsider looking in. I remember the kids would be standing in a circle, in the student center or something talking, and I'd be standing on the outside trying to like peer in, get my elbow in there, get my shoulder in there, try to get in the group, and it was just not gonna happen. And so I had this brilliant idea over the summer before the 9th grade year to start a band. And the best way to hang out with all the popular guys in junior high in Indiana would be to hang out with the basketball players. So I put together a band with 4 of the guys from the basketball team and a couple other guys as well. So it was Chris Justice, who played guitar with me. We didn't have a bass player. Rick Sorrell, who played piano. David Potter, who was a year younger than all the others. He played drums. And then David Wright on trombone. And then I got Mike Evans, who happened to be the class president, on trumpet. And Craig Baker, who actually was a really good trumpet player, he also played trumpet. And I had a book from the store that I took guitar lessons at that was the scores of a bunch of Chicago tunes. So I had that, and I used that to create the score, the charts for everybody. And we learned a few Chicago tunes. But the one we were going to do at the talent show in junior high in 9th grade was going to be 25 or 6 to 4. It was a big hit, a couple of years before that. And I was good enough to kind of play the guitar. I had my Fox wah-wah. So I remember my red plastic Fox wah-wah. That thing was... Anyway, it got me that kind of Terry Kath sound. I did not have a distortion box or anything like that, so it was just the guitar to the amp. And I had this guitar, my first electric. I got just a few months before that for my birthday, and it's an Ibanez 175 copy from 1975. 1974. This is a lawsuit model, and I had a Fender Champ amp. And Chris had an Epiphone electric guitar and an Epiphone amp, I believe. And neither were going to be loud enough to fill up the auditorium. We had to do 2 convocations. You remember convocations? We had to do 2 of them. One for the 7th grade and half of the 8th grade class, and that was about 900 kids. And then another one for the second one was for the second half of the 8th grade class and the 9th grade class, which was all our friends because we were in 9th grade. And so... but I didn't think that the 2 little amps that we have would be loud enough for this auditorium. So I got the brilliant idea to rent an amp. So I went to a store and we rented a Fender Bassman and a giant cabinet. My memories, I think was like an 810, but I looked up Fender 810 cabinets. I don't think they existed back then. Kind of like the Ampeg ones, but maybe it was a 212 cabinet, but whatever. The only purpose we had that for was for me and Chris to plug into it. Now, we also brought our amps on stage, our little amps on stage, so that we had 3 amps on stage. We turned the lights on so everything looked really cool. We had 3 amps on stage and a horn section, 3 horns, drums, and piano. So the first convocation for the 7th graders went off pretty well. I mean, I think we did a good job. It was fine, and we'd been rehearsing through, once a week through the summer, so we had the song down pretty good, and everybody was good enough to play this song, and I think it went pretty well. I don't really remember that one. The second one, keep in mind, this is a talent show, so there's like 15, 20 kids before us doing their thing, so our gear is off to the side of the stage. And so what we had to do was, we were kind of the grand finale, and we had, literally probably 90 seconds to move everything into position and to start our song. So it was a bit of for a first gig, that's pretty scary stuff. That alone, just being ready to go. So we get all in position, and the curtain opens, and just like the first convocation, David counted off 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we started playing 25 or 6 to 4. The problem was nothing came out. Both Chris and I started playing the lick, and in an auditorium of 1,000 people, that was as loud as it was because something wasn't right. And I thought, oh no, did somebody forget to turn on the amp? Next thing I hear is someone shouting from behind me, the amp's on fire, the amp's on fire. I turn around and the amp is smoking. And I think the stage manager, the old guy, he got out the fire extinguisher or something, put out the amp that we had rented caught on fire. And David, the trombone player, who was the biggest guy, I think it was his job to bring out the amp and make sure they were plugged in. And what happened is the head was not plugged into the cabinet. And you'll know what happens when you do that. You turn on the amp, and if there's not getting any, if it's not going to a speaker, you're going to have some problems. So I didn't know that. I thought that the amp caught on fire and something happened with electricity and it destroyed my guitar. It didn't even occur to me that Chris's guitar wasn't working either. All I thought of was, I was totally self-focused, was that my guitar was broken because of this fire. So I'm like, all of a sudden I'm crestfallen. My heart, everything just, and I can't help it. In front of everyone, I start to cry. It's like the worst thing that I could have done. Chris got the brilliant idea. He realized that the amp wasn't working, so our amps were still there, turned on, ready to go. He unplugged his guitar and plugged it in the amp. And I saw him do that, so I did the same thing, and I played, and my guitar worked. There was sound coming out. We cranked up the amps and we started again, but by then I was so flustered. It was like a bad movie, where I remember afterwards going through the gathering area, the student center area, and people just kind of point at me or laughing or saying, "Oh man, what happened?" You know, they were just like, and I was just like, okay, I wanted to start 9th grade with a bang, and it literally did. So that was my worst gig ever. We did finish the song, and I did have my little Fox wah wah going and everything, but it wasn't as good as the first one, and it was a horrible gig. And to be honest, I'm kind of shocked that I stuck with it. And to make it worse, the bill for the amp to be fixed was like $120 because it blew the transformer or something. And my mom made me go around to all the bandmates and ask for $20, and that was the end of the band. My first band was over with that ask. And I wasn't in a band again until I was a senior in high school in a band called Rendezvous. And I've got some stories about that band too. But if you like these stories, I've got a million of them. My live stream audience will tell you I've almost got a story for every lesson. So, but hit the like button, subscribe. You can feel free to tell your story, your worst gig ever story in the comments. I would love to see that. And I hope you're well. God bless you, and may you have better gigs than that.